Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Vogue Auto Group YouTube channel. Now, today you join me sat in the front of my own car. But don't worry, we're not going to be reviewing a boring Volvo. If you remember on the last week's video of the BMW Alpina, if you watch right to the end, you will have seen a little teaser of what's to come today. Now, I'm not going to waffle on too long because this car really is something special. So, without further ado, let's just get into it.
Phase 1. Now, if you didn't know, these cars came in a Phase 1, 2 and 3. This is a Phase 1, which is arguably the most desirable as it didn't come with that awful leaking sunroof. Obviously, she's sporting the iconic gold Williams alloys, which are in absolutely immaculate original condition. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about this specific car. So, this car is number 246, which you can see on the plaque on the front of the dash. Initially, just 5,500 models were made and only 390 came to the UK. This is one of only 42 which is actually left licensed on the UK roads. This particular car has also only had 3 owners, one of which was in fact Renault, then 2 private owners, which the last one owned the car from 1998 to present and had it in storage from 2005 to 2017. We buy all of our cars privately, so we know exactly what we're buying, and we love to hear the unique backstory of every single car to pass on to its new owners. This Clio in particular is also really special because it is in complete unrestored condition. It's a complete original with every piece just as it left the factory. A lot of these Clios can go through full restorations, which include taking every panel and making them look brand new again, ultimately making it a brand new car. But this car is exactly as it left the factory all those years ago. Everything is a complete original. As mentioned earlier, this car was in storage from 2005 to 2017, and that has most definitely paid off. The underside of this car is immaculate. There is no rust, there is no corrosion, and there is no damage. It really is a one of a kind. These Clios are also renowned for a bit of corrosion on the front in the engine bay, whereas as you can see, this one is literally perfect. These cars really were ahead of their time, and without a doubt they paved the way for hot hatches all over the world in the future. Renault most definitely did a thorough job with these Clios with the help of obviously the Williams F1 racing influence. The suspension used a reinforced front subframe borrowed from the Clio Cup Racer. It had uprated springs, dampeners, torsion arms and thicker anti-roll bars. It literally is giving it the ultimate pocket rocket status. Now, this car when it was brand new in the early 90s would have cost around £13,275. And that is £30,000 in today's money, which is not far off what these cars are actually worth now. And if that doesn't tell you how legendary this thing is, I don't know what will.
So everybody, let's go for a little drive in the Clio. We're not going for a long drive, A, because I feel an immense amount of pressure driving this thing, and B, because it doesn't really require that much driving, just to show you how much of a good car this is. Clio Williams. Obviously, if you weren't about in the 90s, then you might not know what one of these is, but short terms, one of these is
now
something
hold
special.
on for a
Williams'
second.
name
So
comes
it's only
from,
fair that we delve a little bit
obviously
deeper
Clio's
into
racing
Renault
partner.
and Williams racing history. So, Williams and Clio actually paired up in 1989 after Williams lost the Honda-powered engines to Mercedes in 1988. This undoubtedly set them up for a huge recovery, particularly in 1996 with the FW18, which is what you can see playing on the screen right now. This car proved to be one of the most successful cars in the 1996 season, winning 12 of the 16 races. It was powered by a 3-litre Renault V10 engine. It was proven to be extremely reliable, managing to complete 1,778 of the 2,028 laps, more than any car that season. The car featured a better centre of gravity due to the driver sitting lower in the cockpit and vastly improving handling. The FW18 proved to be competitive on all circuits, with a Williams driver on the podium for almost every race. Such a legacy stuck, making Renault Williams a well-known name for petrol heads alike.
What they did was they basically took one of the Clios and made it basically the hot hatch of its time, basically taking over from the Renault 5 Turbo. Under the bonnet we have got a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine which is producing 148 brake horsepower. So 148 brake horsepower doesn't sound that amazing. You think, oh, is that really a lot? It is worth noting that this thing only weighs 981 kg. So with it weighing only 981 kg, you actually get 153 brake horsepower per tonne. Things that obviously went into this car to make it a little bit more special than your average Clio. We've got a stronger crank from a diesel Clio, which was borrowed out of one of those engines. We've got new pistons, we've got a new camshaft, we've got new conrods, everything's stronger, everything's better. And as a result, you have got an absolute little pocket rocket. Immediately when you get in this thing, it just puts a smile on your face. Immediately puts a smile on your face. You've got such a good driving position. It literally feels like I am driving in a little go-kart right now. It's just so direct. You turn the wheel and it's very heavy, but obviously that's what you would expect, and it's so firm. You go around a corner in this, you've got no awkward steering. It is going exactly where you point it, and that little engine under the bonnet is aggressive. So obviously you think 148 brake horsepower, that's not a crazy amount, but this thing just constantly wants to bite, it constantly wants to go, it's just constantly asking for you to put your foot down, and it is just so much fun to drive. I'm going to sit for 14 hours and wait for all of these boring people in their modern cars to drive past. Oh, I love this thing, absolutely love it. I mean, the seating position is a little bit odd. It's very you're very down and in the car, but I suppose that is a good thing. Like I said, it literally does feel like you are in a go-kart. I cannot imagine a car that I would want to take around bends in the 90s more than one of these. Very snappy. It's very, come on, let's go and have some fun. It's like the steering wheel, the steering is very heavy, but it's not awkward heavy. It's the nice heavy, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's the heavy where you've got faith in it. Sometimes you can turn a corner in a car and it feels like you're literally trying to steer on air, whereas this feels like you are literally steering on the pure tarmac. Honestly, it's one of those cars where it's hard to describe unless you've drove one. And I feel like anyone who can say, yeah, I've driven a Williams Clio, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I've driven some of the Clio 182s and things like that, and they're fun. But this is fun, but with such an old school twist. Oh man. It has to be a gearbox, and it is super mechanical. So you put it into first and you've got proper push it into gear. But when you're going, it's got such a short throw between each gear. It's literally bang, 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 bang. Oh no, there's some people on horses. They're probably gonna think, what the hell is this thing? Hard to find a car from the 90s that would get the level of respect that one of these does, and you can tell that just by the amount of people from the short time that I've been driving it around today that look at you and think, oh my god, that's a Williams Clio. And I think the funniest thing about all of this is, obviously to some people, yes, it is just an old Clio, and when we put the value of this car into somewhere like Available Car, it comes up with £150, which is absolutely ridiculous. And it's crazy to think that some people would fall for it and genuinely think that these cars are worth that much. But wow, honestly, I genuinely don't think I have stopped smiling in the short time that I've driven this. Like I said, I've driven it for probably a short time this afternoon, and I'm driving it just for a short period today, and it's just so much fun. We'll just show you just how much this car wants to go. Obviously it's naturally aspirated, so we've got no turbo lag, we've just got a big 2-litre engine in the front of a 900 kg car. So I'll knock it down in a second. She just wants to fly, she constantly just wants to go. It's literally like a little terrier, constantly let me go, let me go, let me go. It's literally such an experience being in this little cockpit. Obviously we've got all of the dials in the front, and we've got such dinky little tiny wing mirrors that are so cute, but it's literally like being in your everyday race car. Hot hatches nowadays and you think 148 brake horsepower is nothing, but back then this was revolutionary. This car was literally revolutionary. and it completely changed like a lot of things in a lot of cars, and for that it will be forever iconic. Is he letting me go? Do you know why he's letting me go? Because he's like, that's a Williams Clio. He gave me a nod of approval. I saw that. Okay, watch her go. She'll just be like, it's like, ram, ram, ram. Put your foot down. And I cannot describe how good this thing feels round corners. You can throw it in and it just absolutely loves it. Oh, what a car! What a car! So once again, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of test driving one of the awesome cars that we've got in stock here at Vogue Auto Group. The past 2 weeks have been very 90s themed, but don't worry, we're going to be bringing it to a little bit more 21st century in next week's episode. And as mentioned last week as well, these cars are sometimes cars that dealerships wouldn't touch with a 10-foot barge pole, but here at Vogue we absolutely love them. So Available Car might have valued this car at £150, but here at Vogue, like we said, we know the true value, and we sold this car yesterday to its very lucky new owner for its actual true retail price. So if you have a car similar to this, you have a classic car, you have a car that you don't necessarily know whether a normal dealership will want to buy, make sure you get in touch with us because we love anything and everything. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next week, 6 PM Sunday.